Welcome to another edition of Coaching Minute with Brianne Ligori and Friends, where certified coaches help leaders to elevate their coaching skills so they're better able to lead today's modern workforce. Today's guest is Kavita Ahuja. Kavita is a certified coach with over 20 years of experience in the pharmaceutical world. Kavita is also the host of the popular podcast, The Midlife Reinvention, and she's the creator of the transformative course, It's My Time Now. Welcome, Kavita.
It's such a pleasure to be here, Brianne. How are you? I love this initiative. It's so amazing because, I think coaching is so important for people and for organizations. So I love what you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And we first connected back in the pharmaceutical space many years ago, and it was so fantastic to reconnect in our work at Women Leaders in Pharma.
It was meant to be, right?
It was meant to be, yes. So, you have so much experience in corporate and also now working back with corporate to really support the leaders within the organizations.
Yes.
So from your perspective, if we were to think about coaching, you've received lots of coaching, you've probably given lots of coaching. What has been your most meaningful coaching experience so far?
Oh, that's a hard question. As you know, every coaching experience honestly is meaningful in its own way, and you learn and grow in each experience. If I was to pick one, I think the one that stands out really in my mind is I was hired by a healthcare company to coach an executive leader, and HR had come to me because she was having kind of issues with the lack of communication and with other team members, which was kind of negatively impacting her work. And, she was a really high performer, but was challenged, with giving and receiving feedback and being collaborative. And so through, my coaching sessions with her, we discovered that indeed it wasn't the work that was the issue. It was actually deep personal problems or issues that she was going through at the time. She had personal relationships in which she was continually being judged and being put down. And that led for her to a real lack of confidence, which translated into her work. And so then, by coaching her to really understand these blocks and to realize that, Brianne, she's enough. She is enough in just the way she is, right? And to also help her gain the confidence, she was able to, as a result, able to communicate better. She was able to ask for what she needed and her boundaries, both at work and in her personal life. So, as you know, work life and personal life is completely intertwined. And unless you get to the root cause of what's happening in a person's whole life, it's really hard to understand, to help them through work issues as well. So, so I think that was, it resulted in, better work-life balance, greater communication, more confidence overall. And I'll read you a quote that she actually had said to me after. She said that, "I used to live in fear. Now I like who I am. I have lightness, confidence, and purpose." So I don't think there's a better outcome than that. So that was, it's like, wow. Okay. Thank you. So that's one example. So,
it's so amazing. And I think sometimes, I see this a lot in the work that I do working with leaders, is sometimes people think there's work self, home self, and they're separate and we need to keep them separate. But I think, as a result of COVID and a lot of changes in the workplace, people have really realized, as leaders, we need to be able to coach the entire person, the whole being. Exactly. And when we actually coach on personal issues, it helps in the workplace as well.
100%. Yeah. I talk a lot about what's called anabolic energy, which is the positive energy. And when you have that in all aspects of your life, if one of the aspects of your life is negative and it's causing a lot of stress, how are you can't just switch it off, right? You've got to be able to create that anabolic energy in different areas. So I completely agree. So that was one example that I think, it exemplifies that we are whole people. So
100%.
To coach a person. Yes.
Yeah. And how about you? What impact has coaching had for you personally when you've received coaching?
Honestly, yeah, it is actually, I think coaching has really changed my life. Like it's in a lot of ways. I think, if I was to think of the first way, it's just that the way, it's the way that it can impact other people's lives. It's so gratifying and fulfilling when you can actually help guide people. And I can't think of any other profession where you actually have literally can help change somebody's trajectory of somebody's life, and that
Yeah.
so much allows for so much gratification and fulfillment. I can't even describe it, right?
Mhm.
And the other way I think it's affected me personally is because it's every coaching experience, every client, I grow as a person. I learn. I learned to listen. I've learned to listen better. I've learned to ask more meaningful questions. I've learned not to rush to answers. To take the pause, and
Mhm.
helping people. In my life, even personal life, help them uncover blocks and help them gain their confidence. So it's these skills that while I'm coaching others, I believe, I don't know if you agree with that, is we become better ourselves, these skills that we can apply into our personal life as well. So,
Mm,
yeah.
so much so. I agree with you. I feel like it's a bit of a mirror, right? Like when we're
Yeah.
coaching someone and they're working through different things, I'm looking at them going, damn, like I could really take a lot of these learnings for myself so that I could grow as well. And so it's this
Hmm.
beautiful partnership where we're
Hmm.
both moving forward
Hmm.
together.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, the skills you gain, I mean, especially, before I might have been a little bit more impatient, maybe, like,
Hmm.
with my husband, perhaps,
Yeah.
like, or my
We've all been
kid.
there.
And
Yeah.
now it's like, okay, use the skills that you've learned, and
Hmm.
it applies. And I think that's, I don't know how you feel, but that for me, that's one of the greatest things. And it's honestly just the fact that you can wake up in the morning and do the thing that you love, and it also, it's the relationships. I think
Hmm.
they become stronger,
Yeah.
you know um because you're just able to listen better, you know
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it permeates through every area of your life, like
Hmm. Hmm.
work, personal, friendships, like it's transformational, really.
It is.
Yeah.
100%. Yes,
Yeah. And I
absolutely.
think a lot of leaders are realizing that, like in the organizations, that they need to do more coaching with their teams to be able to help their teams grow, especially as new generations are coming in. They're not looking for that old school leadership where they're getting that, sort of top down, I'm the leader, I'm going to tell you what to do.
I hope so.
Um,
I think that's definitely needed, 100%.
We
Yeah.
very much so. And we find in a lot of our courses that leaders are sometimes hesitant to ask questions because they feel like, well, I've always given advice and people are going to think it's strange if I'm asking
Hmm.
questions. And so, what advice would you give these leaders that have a bit of fear about stepping into more coaching and questions?
Yeah, that's a really great question, because I think, especially as I know for me, and as for new coaches, when I started out, it almost becomes like, we have to provide the right advice right away, and it kind of almost becomes a bit of a crutch.
Okay.
And I would say, I would say probably the number one tip I would say is to trust yourself and your instincts.
Mm.
And really kind of, you have to become comfortable with the pause, right? After asking the question, because the pause is really where the golden answers lie.
Mhm.
You have to feel comfortable with that. And, we often worry about asking the perfect question. So sometimes when we're in the conversation, we're like, okay, what do I ask next? Especially as a new coach. And if we do that, then we're not present in the moment, right? We're not
Mhm.
listening. And so if we, again, taking with your work, it's like being in the present moment.
Okay.
And when we do that, we're present in the moment. We're not worried about the next question. And then we can truly listen, and then the right question will just reveal itself to you,
Yeah.
right? And then I guess once you've asked the question, is like, don't worry about the silence. Like, don't be afraid of the silence, and then don't be afraid to probe either. So I guess it would be trust yourself, right? Trust yourself to ask the right questions and be present, and also just listen intently, and again, be comfortable with the silence. I think those are the main things as
Yes.
coaches. What would you think? What do you say about that?
100% in our coach certifications that we do with leaders. That is one of the number one things when they're
Yeah.
watching and observing us coach. They're like, well, how are you leaving so much silence? Like, I'm getting uncomfortable even watching
Yes.
you.
Yes.
But we encourage them to look at the body language of the person that's being coached, because very often they're looking up and they're pondering. And that
Yes.
is where, like you said, the gold is, the real stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sometimes if you're just like, you ask the question and then they're like, it takes a while for if the answers are coming, because that's what a coach does, right? Is reveal the answers that are from within, right?
Yeah.
In order to get that out, you need a little bit of time, and then when you're looking at your client, what is their reaction? What is their face telling you? What is their body, like you said, what is their body language saying? And that's when the next question comes, right? It's like, I noticed that you're feeling like, what's coming up for you right now? There could be emotions, there could be tears, there could be happiness, what is it? So again, it's about being present in the moment. So that's a hard one. It's a hard one as a new coach, I think, to really grasp, but
it
the more you
really,
get the
really
experience, the better it becomes.
Yeah, just practice, right? Like
Yes.
over and over and over, and don't be tempted to default back to this advice place that a lot of leaders do. It's like, just embrace the uncomfortable just a little bit more.
Of course, it's always good to have, those questions kind of in your toolbox, right? That you can, obviously that comes with training, and but don't be worried about, okay, what question am I going to ask next?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
It's going to be the right one that's going to elicit the, that breakthrough, because then that will never happen if you're worried about that, right? So
yeah, I think there's something to be said about this idea of like, people get stuck in wanting to perform as a coach. And I think that is what gets coaches stuck, because they feel like they have to be this amazing coach and perfect all the time, versus, like you said, just being present and being a bit human. If the right question doesn't come up, just even letting the person know, like, I just need a moment to think of the next best question.
Yeah. In fact, that's even being authentic that way allows for a greater bond with your client. Because you're human, you don't have all the answers. In fact, they're the ones who have the answers, and it's about uncovering that, as I said before.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the topic of working with organizations, a lot of organizations have the goal to empower their people, which is very positive, well-intended. I think a lot of times organizations don't do a good job really defining what they mean by empowerment necessarily. So from your perspective, how do you think coaching helps organizations to get to that place of empowerment?
Well, I think, like you said before, things have changed now in organizations, or hopefully they are changing. And I believe coaching is one of the greatest ways to empower individuals, and hence then the organization, right? So that's exactly what coaching does. So whether you're coaching, a junior employee, whether you're coaching a mid-level manager or a senior executive, everybody wants to be heard, right? And if we are able to give them the tools to be confident in themselves, and also to ask their manager or the organization for what they want, with confidence, then you have an empowered employee, and that leads to an empowered organization, right? So, for example, one of the key things that I always do is in order for them to start, is like, what are your greatest strengths right now? Like, what are you really good at? What are your superpowers, right? And also, what are you passionate about in your life, in your work? And are you getting that in your work? Are you getting that from your company? And if not, why not? And often it's because they're afraid to ask, or they think that they're not good enough, or they think that they're not qualified enough, right? So all these not enoughs often come up. So if we work with, as coaches in organizations, if we work with our people to to uncover what their greatest strengths and skills are, and make sure that what they're fully being utilized, and that they're really passionate and love what they do, then I mean, that's what an empowered organization means to me, right? Because when you have employees who really love what they do and they're good at it, and they feel like they're being recognized and appreciated, I mean, there's nothing like, I mean, I think that is, to me, that is the definition of an empowered employee, and hence an empowered organization.
I love what you're saying, Kavita, because I think there is always a way to connect that spark, those strengths, those elements of purpose to the work. But it's a choice. So it's about really uncovering them and saying, okay, what are the threads that actually connect to my job from those things that give me a spark, and having the courage to ask and say, you know, this is important to me and I want to do more of this type of work.
Yeah, because you know, the opposite is if you're not being, if your experience, skills, what you're really like good at and what you love is not being utilized, then what happens, right? You become disconnected, you become unfulfilled, and then maybe even conflict, you know, there could, you know, so that's, you have to understand what your people are, what makes them tick, you know, what is their real purpose, what do they really love to do, and that, I think that really comes with a lot of coaching and understanding the person. So absolutely, that would be, I think, my greatest. I think every organization should use the benefit of coaching for their employees, because it's
absolutely. Yes. Well, thank you so much for your wisdom, Kavita. I encourage everybody to check out Kavita's podcast, The Amazing Midlife Reinvention. I look forward to continuing our work together, Kavita, at Women Leader in Pharma.
Well, thank you so much. It was great questions. I love the conversation, and continue doing the great work that you're doing as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All the best.
You too.